Look at this chart. We're tracking the aggressive downward slide of two major Asian currencies. The Korean won has plunged to a 17-year low against the US dollar, while the Japanese yen is scraping the bottom of a 40-year valley. As the dollar surges, that relentless currency weakness is setting off alarms globally. Policymakers from Washington to Europe are watching their import costs rise and their own economic stability rattle. To stop the bleeding, leaders like Germany's chancellor are publicly floating a specific, nostalgic solution, executing a new Plaza Accord. They are looking backward to a legendary 1985 treaty, hoping to apply a decades-old fix to a modern crisis, and assuming history can be copy-pasted on demand. The original Plaza Accord has a mythic reputation among politicians and traders. It is remembered as a perfectly executed government intervention, a coordinated strike that successfully weakened an overpowering US dollar by 30% in just 2 years. It sent massive financial shockwaves across the globe, establishing the careers of aggressive macro traders. George Soros, seen here, bet heavily on the rising yen and Deutschmark, making what he later called the killing of a lifetime. But while modern politicians and traders pray for a repeat, a new Plaza Accord is a dangerous mirage. To understand why a modern reboot will fail, we have to look past the sanitized economic textbooks and expose the bizarre, highly covert, and deeply political reality of what actually happened in that hotel room 40 years ago. By late 1984, the United States was running a massive trade deficit against a booming, export-driven Japan. The economic pressure cooker reached a boiling point, with an angry U.S. Congress demanding severe retaliatory tariffs against Japanese goods. Japan's finance minister, Noboru Takeshita, pictured here, realized an intervention was necessary to appease the Americans. But the trip to negotiate it had to be kept absolutely secret. Takeshita even played a decoy round of golf near the airport to throw off the press trailing him. Bank of Japan Governor Satoshi Sumita went even further. He claimed he had a severe cold, hiding his face behind a massive surgical mask as he slipped through the terminal. Avoiding Japan Airlines, where traveling businessmen would immediately recognize them, the duo snuck onto a US-bound Pan Am flight, disappearing into the clouds. This extreme cloak-and-dagger routine was necessary because these officials were flying to New York to sign a deal that would deliberately strengthen the yen, effectively kneecapping their own country's export-driven economic engine. The American side was driven by hidden motives. Originally, the meeting was scheduled here, behind the austere walls of the New York Federal Reserve, but Treasury Secretary James Baker abruptly moved it to the glamorous Plaza Hotel. Baker, shown taking the podium at the Plaza, orchestrated a massive public spectacle. He wanted the spotlight to maximize the political theater of the announcement and claimed the resulting victory for himself. Japan's finance minister had his own selfish calculations. Takeshita fully understood that a stronger yen would hurt Japanese manufacturers, but he believed playing the hero for the US and gaining international clout was his only real path to becoming prime minister. And there is a crucial, entirely forgotten half of this agreement. While the ministers posed for cameras, the US Congress was simultaneously passing the Gramm-Redmond-Hollings Act, forcing painful domestic belt-tightening that actively reduced the massive US budget deficit. The success of the Plaza Accord relied on a highly specific, unrepeatable collision of backroom political ambitions, theatrical diplomacy, and actual US fiscal austerity. Fast forward to today, and the first flaw in the new Plaza theory becomes obvious: the sheer mutated scale of the modern global foreign exchange market. Look at this comparison. In 1986, the daily trading volume across the globe was around $200 billion. Today, that bar rockets up to an astonishing $12 trillion changing hands every single day. During that exact same period, the foreign exchange reserves held by those 5 original nations only grew by a factor of 14. They are completely outpaced by a market that has grown 60-fold. The financial muscle to dictate currency values has slipped out of the hands of governments entirely. They are now trying to negotiate with a decentralized, $12 trillion a day machine that simply cannot be bullied. This chart shows why any modern attempt at a coordinated fix requires a new player. With $3.4 trillion in its vault, China's massive foreign exchange reserves dwarf those of Western nations. Without the world's second biggest economy at the table, a new accord lacks the heft to move the needle. But Beijing will flatly refuse to participate. The Chinese Communist Party views the original Plaza Accord as a Western trap, a forced currency appreciation that they believe directly caused Japan's devastating lost decades of economic stagnation. Then there is the glaring mathematical reality. Unlike 1985, America's budget deficit is now ballooning to roughly 6% of its GDP, and there is zero appetite among lawmakers in Washington to push for the painful spending cuts required to rein it in. Without massive U.S. fiscal discipline, the absolute backing of China, or the basic ability to outspend modern trading algorithms, a coordinated currency fix is mathematically impossible today. The 1985 Plaza Accord was an anomaly. It was born from unique personal ambitions and executed within a much smaller, highly controllable global economy. The era of 5 men quietly fixing the world economy from a luxury hotel room is permanently over. Nations facing crashing currencies today are entirely on their own.